All right, hey, are you moving to the city of Norfolk or maybe Hampton Roads and you're not really sure where to live? Well, that's because there's 7 cities in Hampton Roads and tons of neighborhoods throughout each one of those cities. Today, we're going to focus on the city of Norfolk and talk about where to live when you're moving to the city of Norfolk starting right now. All right, 5 places that you may want to consider living. We're going to talk about these 5 neighborhoods. Each one of them has benefits, and each one of them has detractors. You know, rule number 3, nothing is ever as good or as bad as anybody says. So let's talk about each one of these. First off, with the first neighborhood, Lafayette Shores. Now, I'm a big fan of the Lafayette Shores neighborhood. It's right there in the center of Norfolk. The commute, wherever you're going, is pretty easy, whether you're trying to get on 64 to head out of town, or you're going to Naval Base Norfolk. It's about 15 minutes away. Naval Air Station Oceana, you get on the highway and you're going counterflow. It's going to take you about 30 minutes. No matter where you are trying to go, it's in a great location. Trying to get down to some arts and entertainment, maybe some restaurants down in downtown Norfolk. What a great location. And we're going to see that as a consistent theme through all of these neighborhoods that we're talking about today. So first off, with Lafayette Shores, it's a real nice community. Houses are built in the 1990s. Call them more of an executive style homes. They're, all brick for the most part. And we're talking 4 bedrooms or more. It's a really nice neighborhood. You got sidewalks and street lights and a community center right there in the center of the neighborhood with tennis courts and a pool and a gym and all sorts of stuff that's all included as part of that HOA, which, believe it or not, is only $108 a month. As you walk through the neighborhood, you just get a feel that it's a community where people know each other. You'll see folks out walking their dogs with the stroller, riding the bike, kids going to the pool. It feels like a really nice neighborhood. Now, one of the drawbacks is that one of the main roads going through the neighborhood, Norway Place, can actually be a thoroughfare. So folks coming from down south heading up to the north might cut through there, especially if there's some traffic over on Granby or something like that. So that is something to be aware of, that you could have traffic coming through the neighborhood. But in general, it's very quiet, and there's usually lots of folks out just walking. Houses are usually larger, usually 2-car garage or more, plenty of parking in the driveway. It's usually, most folks are not parking in the street unless they just have multiple cars, right? So it's really your choice. Houses are large, and as I said, built in the 90s, so they're relatively newer builds compared to some of the other neighborhoods we're going to look at today. It's just a really nice neighborhood. Location is great. Neighborhood feels amazing, and you just drive in and you say, oh, wow, what a great place. The houses are somewhat tight together. So if you're looking for a whole bunch of space, Norfolk in general is not really always the place to live because the houses are somewhat tight together here. So that's the neighborhood of Lafayette Shores. Great neighborhood. I really encourage you to go look at it. The next one is Lakewood, just to the north of Willowwood. The whole Lafayette Shores is, a lot of folks lump that into the Lakewood area as well, but we're going to break that out and call it the Lakewood neighborhood up to the north. Slightly older homes, we're talking 1980s, 1970s, very large homes, very established, mature trees. You go through that neighborhood and you go, oh, wow, I feel secluded. There's only 3 roads in and 3 roads out. There's no thoroughfares. There's no through traffic. It's just you, the folks who live there, and the Amazon guy. Nobody else has a reason to be back there. And so you go back and everything ends in a dead end or a cul-de-sac or a turnaround, and you go, oh, wow, there's no reason for anybody to be back here. I'm walking my dog in the street, and it's okay. I see my neighbor, I stop, I talk, because that's what people do in the Lakewood neighborhood. Now, you can have a great spot right on the river there. It's going to cost you a little bit more than one of the inland lots, but if you want to live on the water, hey, you can go right down on the water, have a great house in Lakewood at a great location, and you have an amazing residential view of the water. You'll be right there on Wayne Creek, and right over there next door is the Lakewood Park, where there's the boathouse for Old Dominion University and the local clubs and the local schools where they keep their crew boats. And you'll see them coming out sometimes in the mornings to get their workouts or do their practice, going down Wayne Creek to head out to the Lafayette River. So it's a great place right there on the water if you're looking for a beautiful view and a nice stately home. Lakewood neighborhood. Next one is Larchmont. Larchmont is up to the northwest side of the city, and Larchmont is kind of like one of the most popular places to live. It's more affordable than some of the other neighborhoods, a little bit more tightly packed together. However, you go through Larchmont and you just feel like you're home. sidewalks down the street. Houses are somewhat close together, but again, everybody who lives there tends to love that neighborhood. It's, a sense of community and sense of being in a neighborhood that everybody. Houses can be a little bit older, so you might have 100-year-old houses. You might have a single-car garage. If you have a two-car, it's probably a detached garage in the back, and you kind of got to drive past the house to get there. So if you have a lot of cars or you got some adult children, older kids who are driving or something, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the cars in or out if you're living in Larchmont. Streets are narrower, lots of folks parking on the street. So it is one of those places where you're driving down, you got to wait for the person to go the other way, and then you drive around the parked truck, right? So it is some of that. It is a little bit tighter, but it feels great. And there are certainly some streets that are more open than others. Lots of beautiful homes in Larchmont, usually a little bit older. And when they're well maintained, hardwood floors that just pop and look great. All right. So that's the neighborhood of Larchmont. A little bit tighter together, more established. Everybody loves living in Larchmont. The next one to talk about is Lock Haven. Lock Haven is one of the more expensive neighborhoods in the city of Norfolk. And it's going to cost you a penny to get in there. Now, that said, you get what you pay for. You go in, established neighborhood, established trees, not much in the way of sidewalks. That said, everybody is dry. You feel comfortable walking down the street with your dog. Streets are a little bit narrower. Again, some places you get folks parking in the street, and you're going to be pausing while the person goes the other way. That said, it's an older, more established neighborhood. And there's a great opportunity to be right on the water when you're living in Lock Haven. Now, the downside to the water in Lock Haven is that the views across the river, they're somewhat industrial. You might have views of cranes across the street, tugboats, container ships. It's a thing. I personally go out on the river all the time, and I see this, and for me, it's living in Norfolk. That's what you do. But if you're looking for a residential view of the water, maybe you want to live somewhere else. Maybe you want to be over in Lakewood or something like that. But if you want to have great access right to the river, head out to the bay. Lock Haven is a great place for that. All right, the last neighborhood we want to talk about, places to live in Norfolk, well, that's Ghent. Ghent is more than just a neighborhood. You've got Ghent, you've got West Ghent, you've got, down by Mowbray Arch and The Hague. You've got, Ghent is a huge area of downtown Norfolk, and that is a great place to live. Now, if you're looking for city living where you walk out your door, you walk down the street and go find yourself a Starbucks coffee, well, that's the place to live. If you have a whole bunch of old cars and you like to park them in the garage and take care of them, Ghent is not the place to live, all right? So it's city living. You might walk some places, you feel like you're in New York City with the brownstones lined up and townhouses next to each other. They're beautiful brick homes for the most part. You can have anywhere from single family to townhouses to apartments and condos. It's city living. Now, 50% of the residents in the Ghent area are renters. There's a lot of apartments, and there's a lot of folks who rent to live there. So the ownership rate in Ghent is a little bit lower. However, if you're an investor, it is a great place to own for long-term appreciation. So whether you're looking to move in to buy or to invest, there's some great opportunities right there in the Ghent neighborhood. So as I said, in Ghent, your city living, if you want to go out and walk down to the Starbucks, walk down to a bar or a restaurant, whatever the case is, it's all right there. If you're right there near Stockley Gardens or Botetourt Gardens, there are festivals and art events and all sorts of things throughout the summer. What a great place to live. So lots of great benefits to Ghent. Also some drawbacks. If you're not into city living, that's not the place for you, right? All right. So what did we talk about today? 5 neighborhoods to live in when moving to the city of Norfolk. So we had Lafayette Shores, Lakewood, Larchmont, Lock Haven, and Ghent. So if you have any questions about those, please reach out. And if you like this video, hit the like button. It helps out the algorithm on YouTube, and I appreciate that. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Call me. I'm your real estate wingman. Talk soon.